Good morning, this is field agronomist Scott Eversgerd with Pioneer. We're in a field here in Clinton County, Illinois, about 50 miles straight east of St. Louis. And really what we're looking at this morning is kind of the typical scenario that's developed on our replant situations over the last 3-4 weeks here in southern Illinois. We've worked through these replanting scenarios this year. There's also reason to be just a little bit optimistic. You know, if there's anything good that can come out of this, the replanting scenario we're in right now is we're replanting corn here in the middle of May. You know, there's a lot of years that we don't get an opportunity to maybe replant corn until the second week of June or things like that. But with that mid-May replant opportunity, it gives us optimism still for some pretty good yields. The field we're standing here now was planted on, I believe the correct date was April 17th or 18th. And really what we're seeing here is you can kind of pan around and look behind me, but you're seeing a field where the hills came up, obviously, and you're seeing the low areas that didn't make it. So what we're going to discuss here today is maybe a couple of the management guidelines about some things we're going to look at in this field for the coming year, and maybe some things to think about. So even as we evaluate the stand in this field, even as we count those plants, we're still looking at plants maybe like this little guy here. Even though there are plants there, and we can probably still count those as active plants, there's a lot of plants out here that probably still won't contribute to yield. So as you're making those accurate assessments and really trying to develop what that yield potential is going to be, we've got to take into account that some of those probably still won't make it. As we look at those areas that we decided to replant in this particular field, the grower in this case actually came in with a field cultivator and worked up those areas. That does a couple things versus maybe a stale seed bed just going in and spotting in. By working it in, obviously these are the lower parts of the field. That's the reason it didn't come up the first time. By working it, it does bust up that soil crusting that occurred. It gives the soil a chance to dry out, and it helps maybe create a little bit of a buffer. So if we do get another inch of rain before that corn has a chance to get out of the ground, maybe with some dry soil on top, we've created a buffer to absorb that first ½ inch or 3/4 inch of rain before maybe that rain would affect the emergence of this planting. So it's important to realize in a lot of cases why we did that. Also, one of the reasons we fight so hard to establish a stand in those lower areas, we do know that if it turns dry, those lower areas are typical our best producing areas of the field. Some of the better soils, they hold water better. All the reasons that we didn't get a stand are also the reasons they're some of the best producing areas. So we will continue to fight, do everything we can to get a stand established in those areas. So we've moved into another area on the farm, which was basically a total replant situation. This particular field, as you look behind me here, actually had about 4 foot of water on it 2 different times. So obviously the stand out here was basically nothing. There was maybe 20,000 plants across the entire 20 acres, so a very easy replant decision. But again, it does change how we manage this field a little bit moving forward. Number one, it was pre-planted anhydrous ammonia, so we're going to have to definitely keep an eye on the nitrogen and monitor that with tools like Encirca. Make sure we're using every available tool to know what our nitrogen content is doing and what that's doing in the soil. We definitely also want to think about, as we think about fungicides, you know, this makes a much easier decision from a fungicide application. We got the entire field, it's not one planting, hopefully comes up nice and even and makes that a very easy timing hit for fungicide application. Again, from a herbicide perspective, again, this field was worked, so that means that herbicide barrier we had has now been destroyed. So along with all the water it had on it, we've tilled it and destroyed that herbicide layer. So definitely going to have to make a game plan to come in here and reapply herbicides and seal the weeds back out. This is DuPont Pioneer Field Agronomist Scott Eversgerd, and just want you to know if you need a little more information about some of the things we've discussed today, please don't hesitate to contact your local Pioneer sales professional.